All right, in Unit 4 we talked about the constant rate of proportionality, and the way to get the constant rate is we take the y, we divide it by the x, and that's going to give us our k, and k stands for constant rate of proportionality. We also talked about the dependent and independent variables. The dependent variable is always the y, and the independent is always the x-axis. And that also will give us our constant rate. We learned how to write equations with those, and we always say to ourselves, what happens to the x to get us the y? I'll do a couple examples, and we always start with the x equals y, and then we say what happens to x. You know, was it 4 times x to get you y? Is that what happened? But you can get the equation by figuring out the constant rate of change. And I'll do an example. Let's see. Let's say we have an x and a y table. Let's say this is 2, this is 10, this is 5, this is 25, this is 10, this is going to be 50. Some tables are easier than others to spot, some are not. So what happens to x to get you y? What happens to 5 to get you 25? And if you don't know, you could always take the y divided by the x. So 10 divided by 2 gives you 5. And if it's all the same constant rate, then you can write your equation. 25 divided by 5 gives you 5. 50 divided by 10 gives you 5. So what's happening to x is we are timesing it by 5. So our equation is 5x equals y. Sometimes it's a fraction, sometimes it's a decimal, it just depends. Okay, let's take a look at the first homework. It says Derek drives 76.8 miles and used 2.4 gallons of gas. Ling drives 82.6 miles and used 2.8 gallons of gas. Part A says write an equation for each person. So let's take Derek and Ling. And Derek is 76.8 miles over 2.4 gallons of gas. And in class, we said that we want to use gallons of gas as the x. And it's going to give me my constant rate of change. Okay, let's go over here. For Ling, Ling drove 82.6 miles. That's the y. 2.8 gallons of gas. Get your constant rate of change. Derek is 32x equals y, and Ling is 29.5, 29.5 x equals y. Then the question is, are they proportional? They are not the same, so they are not proportional. B says, how far will each person drive on a full tank of gas? A full tank of gas will be 12 gallons. So you could do a couple of different things. You could take Derek's rate, the 76.8 miles. You can put it over 2.4 gallons and cross multiply and divide. You can figure that way. Or you could take the equation that we created, 32x. And x means gallons of gas. So they have given me the gallons of gas, so I'm going to plug in 12 right here. So 32 times 12, and that's going to give me how many miles he can go. Same thing for Ling. I can do 29 and a half, 12 gallons, because they both had the same amount. And that's going to give me my miles, how many miles he can go. And then who has the better gas mileage? Kids probably don't know, but best gas mileage is the more miles you can go in the gallon is the best. Because they don't drive, so this guy, because he can go 32. All right, number 2. We said water makes up a large part of living things. We said how much a person weighs is going to be the independent, and the dependent would be how much water his or her body is made up of. So it says a 55 kilogram body weight has 36 and 85 kilograms of water. Body weight. All right, we said the body weight was going to be the independent, which is also the X. And we said the kilograms was going to be, we said the water was going to be the dependent, which is the Y. And in order to write an equation, get the constant rate of change, we have to take the Y divided by the X to give us our constant rate. So let's take our Y, 36.85, divided by 55. Okay, we need to write an equation, so we go ahead and divide, and you get 67 hundredths times X equals Y. And X is body weight, and Y is water. Okay, it asks about the independent dependent. We know the slope, this is also the slope. Part C says how much water would a 150 kilogram person contain. So body weight, I'm just going to take the same equation, and I'm going to plug in 150. It's going to give me my water amount.